Hey everyone, this is Seth with Electrek, and today we're looking at the Luna Eclipse fat tire folding e-bike with Gates belt drive and tons of extras. Let's take a look at it. So, first thing out of the gate here, this is a bike that we've never seen anything like it. It kind of looks like a BMX bike, but it's got a lot of other features that, obviously suspension you don't typically find on a BMX bike, a belt drive you don't find on a BMX bike. But for a fat tire folder, we've never really seen also a typical bike seat. So what that means is this bike you can actually pedal, and with the super efficient wheels, with the light body. So this is about a 55-pound bike, and with the good suspension, not amazing suspension, but good suspension. It kind of rides a little bit like a normal bike, like a commuter bike or a bike without an electric drivetrain. So in my testing, I can get going 15 miles per hour pretty easily on a flat surface. I can accelerate out from a stop pretty easily. So it's not like those heavier Super 73 type of bikes where the pedals are kind of vestigial. They're there to be legal, but you don't really use them. This is actually a pedal bike, which for me is a game changer, because most of these fat tire electric bikes, you rely on the throttle. But that's not to say this doesn't have a throttle. It's actually a twist grip, so it's off now, but a little twist there. Me personally, I'd probably prefer a thumb throttle, just because when I'm moving it around, I'm easily able to spin it up with accidentally. But that's an easy change, and it's fine like it is. I also kind of like the look here of the silver out here, the polished. Looks nice. I think a lot of people are gonna be okay with this bike seat, but some are definitely gonna want to put something a little softer on there. That's just how people are. Like, bike seats vary a lot. This is a typical. I don't want to say low end, but it's a typical base level bike seat made by Chifa or something like that. The wheels are also pretty unique here. They're 20-inch fat tire wheels, but that's not unique. What is unique is this tread, which is really small tread, but it was just raining here and I was riding around in the rain, and it's really grippy even in the rain. I don't think you want to take it into the mud, perhaps, off-roading, but for typical street gravel riding, it's fantastic. And I think that actually contributes to the low rolling resistance, and why you get so many miles and so much quickness out of this bike. So moving on, let's check out the motor here. Whoopsie. All right, we got a 500 watt motor, but I thought it was 1,000 watts. Well, Luna put I believe the controller is in here. Luna put a double power controller in there, and they've tested it at 1,000 watts, and it works. It doesn't overheat, and it works well. In my testing, I've gone up tons of hills, had the throttle pegged for 10-15 minutes on end, never really got too hot or started tapping out. I put my hand on it when it's after riding it, and it's warm, but it's not overheating hot. I've seen other motors that get like painful to the touch. So that's one thing to think about. I don't know if that's a bad thing or not, but just something to consider. The suspension here, let's take a look at the suspension. It's got 4 inches of travel, but it's like I'm pushing a lot of weight on this and it barely moves. So, it's not super high-end suspension. I'd say the front fork is actually a lot better. And it's got a lockout as well. So if you're doing a lot of road pedaling and you don't want to be spongy, you can do that. Also, it's a folding bike, so you have folding pedals, so you can push these down and make it about an inch smaller, which I'm gonna say is a little pointless, but to each their own. So those are the pedals. They're not metal. I would have probably preferred metal, but this works fine. Probably helps with the weight a little bit as well. The star of the show really though is the Gates belt drive. So with Gates, you've got a really, kind of a high-end, quiet, smooth situation here. It's usually too expensive to put on a $1,400 bike, so I'm very impressed that Luna got that here. What can I say about that? The trade-off obviously is that gearing becomes really hard with a belt drive. You need more expensive internal geared stuff. This doesn't have that, so that kind of comes through at when you're driving around 15 miles per hour. You really start to have to huff it, get your cadence really high on the pedaling. So for me, that's not great. And this bike's motor, which we talked about previously, at 1 kilowatt, easily gets you up to 25 miles per hour, but there's no way to pedal at that speed. So basically from 18, 19, 20 miles per hour, you can probably pedal at that, with that pretty high cadence, to the top speed of 25 miles per hour. You're only going to be on on throttle. So, for me, like, I kind of like to exercise. I like to at least pretend I'm getting a little workout in, but you can't really do that above 20 miles per hour. That said, this has 5 levels of pedal assist. That said, I usually put this in 3, so you can just pop this up to 1, 2, and 3, and that gives you enough power. I would say that's about halfway through, so probably about 500 watts. That gives you enough assistance to kind of hang out around 18 miles per hour, obviously depending on hill and your pedaling ability and your weight and all that other stuff. But for me, that gets me about 18 miles per hour. I'm pedaling. I'm adding to the experience, and I'm getting some good exercise in. So what else here? The range, in my experience, so I have a 10-mile commute round trip, so 5 miles each way. And I've done this, so I've done it today, and I've lost 1 bar. I've done this about, 7 or 8 times, and each time I lose about a quarter of the battery. So, we're in a super hilly area here. You can see there's mountains everywhere. I think on a typical battery, you're going to probably get 50 miles of moderate pedal assist riding, and that's lines up pretty good with what Luna says. For me, I think on full assist, I could probably, full throttle, no pedaling, and going 25 miles per hour, I'd probably get downwards about 30 miles, and then maybe a little bit less, maybe 25, 20, especially in the hills and stuff. But you're gonna get at least that. For me, that's fine. 20 miles, a typical commute. If I want to go further, I pedal and I slow down a little bit. Those trade-offs are fine. Luna in here has a 14 amp hour, 48 volt pack. That's similar to what Juiced or whatever, what Rad has in their bikes, 672 watt hours. It's a great size. It's not heavy at all. I think it's around 7.5 pounds, and it obviously fits into the tube here. So that's great. And I'm not gonna, because I'm with one hand, I'm not gonna take this thing apart, but it's fairly simple. You just do that and split it in half. I will note, so obviously you can take off the seat, or you can lower it all the way down here. I will note that you don't have any folding mechanism in the handlebars, which are kind of BMX-y with like an 8-inch rise there, and then but they're a little bit wider than a typical, a typical folder bike, maybe a little bit narrower. So that makes folding, it is a foldable bike. It is going to fit in a lot of cars, trunks, or SUV in the back, but it's not as small as like a over here we got a little folder. It's not going to fold down as small as that. What you can do though is obviously you could undo the bolts here, take off the front tire if you want. If you also, you can just undo 4 bolts here, loosen it, bring down the front handlebars there. Not a big deal. Brakes are pretty solid. They're not hydraulic or anything. You know, with a $1,400 e-bike, you're not going to expect that. But they're Tektros, and they're on 180 millimeter discs. They've been fantastic for me. Like, you know, obviously some big hills around here. I hit the brakes, which the handles are kind of neat here. That they don't look like the typical brakes. They're like more than solid. They slow me down great. I did have to tighten them a little bit after about a week, but that's totally normal. Let's move on a little bit here. So I've actually gotten it up to 44.6 miles, so 45 miles per hour. Obviously I wasn't pedaling, and the throttle kicks out at 25 miles per hour, so that wasn't, it was just gravity. And we have, like I've said 10 times, we have huge hills around here. I will say at around 40 miles per hour, things start to feel a little bit sketchy. This bike is put together extremely well, like nice big tires, really solid frame. You know, a lot of bikes with like this kind of suspension and a couple pivot points might feel a little loose. This one is not one of those. It's very tight. It feels great. But you know, 45 miles per hour is pretty big. So you know, keep it around that or lower. I've been up to 50 miles per hour on that hill. It's probably not a very good idea to do that, but it is what it is. So what else can we talk about here? I think I've covered just about everything. I have to say I'm a big fan of the tires, a big fan of the belt drive for, you know, lower speeds. Oh yeah, that's one thing. So this belt drive, you know, the chain rings are kind of optimized for lower speed torque. So getting that 0 to 5, 0 to 10 miles per hour that, you know, the stoplight turns or you're getting off, this is kind of what it's adapted to. Like you could probably put a bigger chain rink on the front and get a little bit better high-end speed, but Luna definitely opted for the low-end speed, and that kind of translates as well to great hill climbing ability. So, you know, 10th time, we've got huge hills here. I can go up a huge hill, pedal assist, full throttle at about 15 miles per hour. And that's a very steep hill. So I don't think anybody's gonna need to drop down to 10 miles per hour on this thing for any reason. So for me, that's great. Going fast up a hill is a safety feature in my book. So I'm all about it. And I think that's going to be it for today. So make sure you like and subscribe. Check out Luna. Check out our review, full written review. Got a couple thousand words there. And you know, maybe this bike is the bike for you. I think a lot of people are going to like this bike. I'm Seth from Electrek. I'm signing off.